All right, we are live. Sunny days in Flushing. The Mets have won the wild card round. They have beaten the Milwaukee Brewers 2 out of 3. Bass, how are we feeling?
Feeling great. A lot of emotions. Emotions were running high last night. It was a roller coaster ride, but in the end, they were able to pull through in the top of the ninth. Pete Alonso with maybe the biggest hit of his career, 3-run home run to give us the lead, and then David Peterson came in to shut it down. And that's won 4-2. Now we're on to Philly. It feels great because that whole game. I mean, like I know I held faith, but I was getting nerve wracking towards the end when they weren't getting anything, stringing any runs or stringing any hits together. But they finally did it. They did it and they pulled through. Pitching the whole series pretty much was phenomenal. I mean, you had a blip last night by Budo. You had a blip by Maton. You hope it's just because those guys were pitching on a little bit less rest than normal, so hopefully they're nice and fresh for the Philly series. The rest of the bullpen should be. I mean, Stanek really didn't get any work. Maton should be fresh. Reed Garrett will be fresh. So you got guys in that bullpen you're comfortable with. Peterson might just move into the bullpen now. Who knows? And Tyler McGill too will be available. So they got a lot of options to go to in that pen. They'll be fully rested, and things are looking up. Things are looking up.
That whole series of events is just it's insane. You win game 1, game 2 you should
fairly handedly too. Yeah.
Game 2 they should have won, and just guys didn't produce. Right, guys didn't produce, and that carried into most of game 3, really until the ninth, the top of the ninth in game 3. The Mets should have died. Like they should have died 4 times over in that game, and they didn't, or really like 2 times over, right? And they didn't.
Yeah.
It was just amazing because I'll admit it. I'm sitting there next to you. I'm motherfucking Pete Alonso, arguing with you that he shouldn't be in the lineup. Don't give him another at bat. I had totally lost faith in him, and for him to come out and do that and really have his Mets moment, like that was amazing. It makes me think back to obviously a lot less significance, but 2021. When the Mets, when the Subway Series was happening the weekend of 9/11.
Lindor 3-home run game.
No, that was Sunday. The Saturday game that actually we went to.
Yeah.
Pete hit a ball bottom of the 8th at the warning track, and it died. And it would have been a go-ahead home run, or it was the 9th inning, the 8th or the 9th inning, and Pete just like fell to the ground, and you could tell, like. We've all seen the Mike Piazza video, right? Days after 9/11, he hits that home run. It lifts up the city, and people remember that. And I think that he really wanted that, right? Like he wanted that moment as the Mets power hitter, their home run hitter, their face of the franchise, putting one over the fence 20 years after 9/11, and it just didn't happen. And he just looked so defeated. And you've kind of said like, yeah, outside of breaking the rookie record, this is a guy who has not had a Mets moment. 2 days ago, 2 days prior to that, Lindor had his Mets moment, right? Like the 3 home run game was cool.
He's had a lot of Mets moments.
He's had,
point, but
not like that.
I agree.
That was like incredible, right? Like that's something we're never gonna forget. Same thing with Pete Alonso. Like that was amazing. Pete brought us back. We were dead, and literally Lindor was doing everything possible. The guy was
on base 3 times last night.
On base 3 times.
Single, walk.
Right. Got the 2 hits.
Insane defense last night. I mean,
flashing the leather. Exactly. And, Lindor's just looking for something like, just get me in. Just do anything you can to get me in. And that was amazing. So, like, hats off to Pete. Hats off to a lot of guys yesterday. Mendoza sticking to his plan. Hats off to him. Quintana was phenomenal. Dealing. David Peterson to close out the game, phenomenal, and
Edwin Diaz
to go 5 outs, in the heart of their order, like
it was 5 outs.
He went 5 outs, yeah, or 5 or 6, but I want to say it was 5. I want to say it was 5 outs. I could be wrong, maybe 6 outs, but he was.
What did he come in? He came in the 7th, right?
Came in the 7th, and he pitched through the 8th.
Yeah, I think it was 5 outs. I think you are right. I forgot about that. But
And one more thing, that's the nature of the playoffs, right? Like you're going to be asked to do things that you don't usually do.
no.
You're David Peterson, you're a starter. You're going to be asked to save a game, and that's what he did.
He looked damn good as a closer there. I mean,
that's what we need to remember is that a lot of guys, are going to be out of their comfort zone. And as fans, we think a lot of, like, especially in the analytics era, you think of things like one way, like, oh, that guy, oh, he's just a 1 inning guy, or that guy does that. Like, no, like some 1 inning guys now have to be 2 inning guys.
Yeah.
Some Diaz is the closer on paper, but like some nights he's probably going to be the setup guy.
Yeah.
And
I think the closer is in this day and age now. It's a more fluid term, because I think your closer is not always your bottom of your ninth inning pitcher. It's basically the title now given to the best pitcher in your bullpen, who you need to use to get through the best part of the opposing team's order. Like that we don't have a close. That really, in all of baseball now, at least most teams, there's no closer in the traditional sense. They'll bring their pitcher in the 8th inning if need be to get their best guys in that lineup. If you can ensure that you can bring in someone else in the next inning he's gonna face some lesser bats. You do that, just to get through those big guys. So. And the Mets have a lot of guys in the pen. They got some dogs. I mean, Diaz, we know he had an awesome night last night. I mean, you figure it we got some other news. We'll get to that in a bit. But, with someone coming back, we have a pitcher that can move we have a pitcher in David Peterson that can move to the pen. I don't know if Tyler McGill is going to be on the roster now, but if he is, we have him who can move to the pen.
I imagine he will. I think Tyler.
I don't know. He probably will, but I don't know. Stanek, who is he's a playoff dog. He does well in the playoffs. I know Maton, he's going to get cursed out and everything, but he's someone who hasn't. He'll be there, but he has an awesome postseason record. Yep. So that's someone who you could easily look to.
I wouldn't be surprised if
big leverage events.
If Ottavino,
Brazoban,
yeah,
Ottavino and Brazoban. So we have Tyler McGill and someone else. And then just that bullpen. What once we thought was a liability is now looking like it could very well be a strength. Like a lot of these moves that Stearns made for guys like Stanek and Maton, who weren't thought to be significant moves, whereas the Jesse Winker and the Brazoban deals were thought to be these bigger moves. Stanek and Maton are guys that you want at the back end of your bullpen, not only down the stretch in the regular season, but now here in the postseason. So a lot of the strings that Stearns pulled to put this team together have paid off or paying off. And a lot, like you were saying before, a lot of the strings that Mendy pulled off, he was pulling, he pulled all the right strings. He let Quintana go that 6th inning. You could have argued that you could have pulled him after 5, but no, he let him go the 6th, and he did damn good. He went through 6 pretty much unscathed. A couple hits here and there and a walk, but
who, Quintana?
Yeah, Quintana.
Yeah, he was spectacular last night.
He really was.
There's really not enough good things you could say. The whole pitching staff. I mean, and you know what? Let me say it here too. I said it to you last night. I feel horrible for Jose Butto because the guy made 2 mistakes. I mean, a little more than 2 mistakes, but like
he didn't have it. He was going on one thing,
but he wasn't like if we were going to lose that game, it wasn't because of him. It was because the bats went silent. Yeah, and I just felt terrible that he had to wear that for so long in that game, especially following how dominant Quintana was.
Yeah. Not only that, Butto had a great season. He's someone that they were even saying in the ESPN broadcast, funny enough. He doesn't allow home runs. He only allowed 6 home runs in 74 innings over the season. So this is someone that you don't expect to give up the long ball. Not too often. So, look, the thing, too, is he went 2 innings on Tuesday night. So, only 1 day of rest in between going 2 innings. Usually a guy that goes multiple innings, depending on who they are, especially someone like him who's a converted bullpen guy who hasn't had the time to really work through his routine and everything. He's had, half a season, but he's not someone that's been doing it long enough to be up to that level of stamina to throw 2 innings and then go the next day or go day off and go.
I also think a lot of managers should really take note of what they saw in the series on both teams. What's Milwaukee? What's his name? Arnold?
It's not Arnold. I forget his name.
Whatever.
I'll look it up. You go and I'll look it up.
that was a classic. I think all three games, that was just a classic example of overmanaging. Like
The
that
second game, it paid off. It paid off
second game
because
it paid off, but
Peralta wasn't well.
two out of three
The
times it
games they
didn't.
lost.
2 out of 3 times it didn't pay off. This was
Yeah.
a guy. I mean, that
I
starter.
think,
Hold on. The starter was dealing in the first in this game, and you could argue, oh, maybe he was tired. He certainly didn't look tired when he was told he was coming out of the game. This is just classic overmanaging. You overmanage your bullpen. You overmanage your starters. I think their layout offensively was perfect. It was get on base, steal bases, move runners over. I agreed with that. I thought that was a fine game plan, especially if you're talking about a weakness of the Mets. It's definitely like their run game in terms of picking guys off and whatnot. Absolutely, but the overmanaging of the pitchers, that was a disaster. I think Milwaukee should have won this series. I think that if they had gone with their starters just a little longer, and didn't tax their bullpen, they probably would have won the series. But like they were just hell bent on, nope, we take him out. He doesn't go a third time around the order.
Yeah.
If the guy's mowing down the order for 4 innings, keep him in. That's absurd to me. So especially if the guy, it's one thing if a pitcher's coming up to you saying, hey, I'm getting tired, this and that. Okay, yeah, pull him. The minute a guy's telling you he's tired, don't ask him for more. Like if a pro athlete is telling you I can't give you more, then you should definitely trust him there.
Yeah.
But to just proactively pull him, I did not agree with that. And they paid for it. As good as as dominant as their bullpen was, you could talk about a bullpen being great. You are still putting the game in the hands of multiple people. Yeah. You don't really want to do that. I don't care how good your bullpen is. Like, odds are, if you put the game in 7 guys' hands, one of those guys is going to fuck it up. He's going to fuck something up at some point. I'd rather go with, even if a guy doesn't have his best stuff, if I'd rather kind of leave it in 2 or 3 guys' control as opposed to 7.
Yeah.
So much can go wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And like you said, the overmanaging in the first game, I think that very well could be the reason they lost. I think last night, well, I do agree with you, it was overmanaging. There was no reason to pull the starter. It's not what lost them the game. What lost them the game was Devin Williams kind of imploding, someone that you really wouldn't expect to. I mean, dude's an absolute animal. He's a phenomenal reliever. He's one of the best closers in the league, and for him to melt down like that was just kind of out of nowhere. And the guys, the John Boy, they even keyed in on something that he might have been tipping his pitches. Yeah. So, that maybe that could be something the Mets picked up on and were able to take advantage of. So, all in all, it was a gritty series, a hard-fought series, and the Mets should be proud of themselves to really walk out of that. We need to tighten up a few things on offense, but the pitching looked great, the defense was good, and just you gotta get some runs on the board. This is a good Phillies team. It's a good Phillies offense. So, they're going to score their runs. We got to score ours. We need to get some early leads. And,
that's a good stadium to hit into. I mean,
it is. Hopefully the Mets can take advantage of it.
Right.
Pete Alonso, Lindor, and Santos get some big hits. We only had 1 home run in that series. I think the Mets.
I'd also like to see them make a point of trying to get JD Martinez at least 1 at bat in each of these games. You've got to. The guy is nothing but nails in the postseason. Yeah. Look up the guy's numbers. I know he's older, but you got to give him at least 1 pinch hit at bat in some of these games.
If the game script allows for it, yeah, 100%. But I think just to get him a bat for the sake of getting him a bat is not the right move. Mendoza's made the right moves. Last night, you thought that JD Martinez should have been in over Winker. You know what Winker does? Winker gets on base, steals, and then scores. So JD Martinez isn't doing that. So
but JD could put one over the fence too.
So can Winker though. But so can Winker.
I guess.
Winker had an 800 plus OPS against righties. So this is, Winker's no, slouch with the bat. So the thing is I think Winker's going to offer you a lot more than JD can, at least against righties. If there's a lefty in there, obviously it's going to be JD, but against the righties, it's always going to be Winker. With that, let's move on to the Philly series. You want to get us kicked off with the starters for tomorrow?
Yeah. So somewhere I can't even steal the joke because it's not fair, but it was a great joke. Someone got a picture of I forgot what it was. It wasn't Wolverine in that capsule, but it was some dude in a capsule, and it It was like Kodai Senga somewhere in the New York Presbyterian basement. But Kodai Senga is going to be pitching for the Mets tomorrow. And it looks like Zach Wheeler, their ace, he's going to be going for them. That game is a 4:08 start. I'm really excited for that. I'm fucking pumped for that. I feel good. I feel really good about Senga being on the bump. I don't know how many innings we're gonna get out of him. You know, if it's I gotta assume you're going into a 5-game series. If you're putting him on the roster and you're making him pitch game 1, I have to anticipate maybe a pitch count of like 80 or 90 here. I mean,
well, he did say whatever the Mets asked of him. They asked for 10 pitches, he's good to go. He'll give it his all. If they asked for 200 pitches, he's good to go. So I got to think he's close to full go. You know what I mean? Like he's got to be 100% healthy, and his arms got to be almost there. You know, I mean, he did get to that point in July where he was he was ready. He had worked his way back to basically what would have been a full game, pitch count.
And then he had the calf strain.
Yeah. And then he had the calf strain, but I can't imagine that, working his way back to there.
All I'm saying
is a little bit easier for him to get back to that point. You know what I mean?
All I'm saying is I can't imagine that they're having him pitch game 1. They're using a roster spot on him, and he's only going to go 2 innings. Like unless he looks bad, right? He looks bad. They're going to pull him, obviously. But like, I can't imagine the anticipation is 30, 40 pitches. I can't imagine, because then that would just be a waste. Then you could have put somebody else in that spot. So,
if I'm not mistaken, in one of his last rehab starts, I think he went like 60 pitches or something like that. So I'll see if I can find that real quick. What he went, but to get this guy back, I mean, it's just such. Not only are we getting look, Showman has been awesome, Luis Severino's been awesome, Jose Quintana, David Peterson has been awesome. Kodai Senga is the best pitcher on the staff.
Yeah, it's not close. It's not.
And to get him back right before this series against the Phillies is just, not only is it a huge, just a huge a boost in terms of our talent, but it's also just a huge emotional uplift to the guys. It's like you're hearing that this guy's coming back and he's good to go for the NLDS. He's starting game 1. These guys got to be ecstatic. They're probably going fucking nuts, once they found that out. So everything's moving in the right way for the Mets. And look, I'm not saying that they're gonna go all the way. I believe in this team, but we got to take care of tomorrow and the series against the Phillies first. Then we can start focusing on what's next. But to get him back is just such a big.
And to get it on the day where you're going up against Zach Wheeler, which I want to say the Mets. I really want to say the Mets have hit Wheeler like.
No, they haven't done too well, but they've won some games against him. He can allow some home runs.
Okay, I know the Mets have played well against Taijuan Walker. I know that, but to get Kodai on the day that you're going up against Zach Wheeler, that's big. That's really big.
So he did go 15 pitches. Sorry, I cut you off. He went 15 pitches on September 20th, and Mendoza had said at that point that. If everything goes well, he would be pitching for the Mets his next go around. So, my thoughts are that I think he had a little something happen where he needed to be shut down or some sort of little strain. But my guess is he probably threw some bullpens and some side sessions just to continue to get his arm ramped up. So, we can keep going.
Sorry, I dazed out there.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
had a long night last night.
It's we definitely did. Yeah, it's really nice having Kodai on the mound, and then I gotta assume after Kodai, you're probably
it's
gonna
Sevy
go
on
to
Sunday.
It's gonna go to Sevy on Sunday, and then
Manaea Tuesday, and then probably Quintana Wednesday if it goes that far.
And maybe that does open things up for David Peterson to go into the bullpen. And that's a weapon. Those are like, if you think about that, that's like 2 weapons you weren't banking on having. You weren't banking on David Peterson being your closer out of the bullpen. And you definitely were not, none of us were banking on, Kodai Senga will just be back in the playoffs. I mean, you it
was a pipe dream.
It was a pipe dream. You were kind of like, hope. I think we had talked about it here a couple of weeks ago, and it was like,
it's fucking happened.
Yeah, and now it's happening. So that's amazing. And if he is like 75% of the guy we saw that night in July, that just mowed. I think it was the Marlins, right?
No, it was the Braves. It was the
Was the
Braves.
Braves? Okay.
He shut them down 9 Ks over 5 in the third. I think he only allowed one hit and a walk. I think the one hit was a home run.
Right.
So it's like, look, this guy, like, if he looks like what he did against Atlanta, like, that's insane. Like, the guy's fucking phenomenal. And like, he looked great last year. He was, one of the best pitchers in the majors, at least in the NL. He was probably like a top 10 NL pitcher. He looked even better when he came back in July. Like, look, that could have just been one start, but we didn't see the control that he had in that start last year. We didn't see the pure swing and miss stuff. I mean, he did have some swing and miss stuff, but it was just constantly these guys looking like fools up there. Things were dancing. I mean, look, if that's what we're getting, watch out.
I also think, he really hasn't pitched at all this year, right?
Yeah.
He had one game where he went 6 innings.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like if he's dealing, my only question to him is like, do you feel good? You feel okay? Okay, go back out there. Like,
Yeah.
I personally don't give a shit how many pitches he throws in the playoffs because he hasn't thrown this season. So like, I don't want to. I mean,
as long as his arms rank
but
back up to where the
if
point
his
where he
arm
can
feels
give it up.
okay, if his arms and his legs feel fine, let him go out there and throw. Like it would not be a travesty if this guy was dealing and he threw 130 pitches in a game. And
I don't think it's ever. I don't think that's happening.
Not going to happen. But like, if he feels okay, let him do it.
80, 90, 100 pitches. I think the goal is to give him a full start. Assuming he's pitching well, it's going to be to give him 80 plus pitches. They'll probably try to keep it to that. But I can't imagine there's a hard pitch count. I think it's going to be very fluid. With
there
Senga.
Shouldn't be a pitch count with anybody.
No, no one. I think he's the only one just because it's his first time seeing Major League action in 2 months. But yeah. I think things got to be fluid with him. If he says he feels good and he's dealing, let him go. But he starts to waver. You see him leaving some pitches in the zone. You see him tiring out of it. Get ready to pull him quick. And apparently Peterson is ready to go tomorrow too. So you could very well see Peterson piggybacking Senga coming out of the pen. Whereas maybe the plan was only to get Senga through the first 3-4 innings. Maybe that's all he really can give you. That's all he's ramped up to do. But you got Peterson following that up. That's insane. That could be fucking big.
Do you agree with Duran Rivera there?
Both managers made the same mistake in the second day, pulling their starters too
early.
early. I don't with Minaya because Minaya, while he did have good stats and he ended well, he was laboring a bit. Minaya had a tough time getting through those 5 innings.
He had a hard time finding the strike zone.
He didn't walk. I don't think he walked anyone, but it wasn't even necessarily finding the strike zone. It was getting the bite on those pitches out of the strike zone. So some of the pitches that were missing out of the zone were very non-competitive. Last night Quintana was throwing a lot out of the zone, but they were very good. They're sharp. They're competitive pitches, and he got a lot of swing and misses last night. Quintana, Minaya didn't really have it. He only struck out 4 guys. That's a very patient team. So I had no problem with pulling Minaya. He went to Reed Garrett, who looked awesome, and then Stanek, who looked awesome again, and then Maton had a bad night. He before that appearance, he had a .89 ERA in the postseason in his career. So it's someone who has great postseason success, and I very well think I think Maton should be a guy to look to at the end of games. In late in games, every possibility.
I think he could have let Quintana go another inning. I think he was dealing. He looked really comfortable.
He did, fine. But he was.
I think
maybe
could have let him go. I think we get really caught up in a pitch count. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball's been played for over 100 years, and you're talking about really about the past 15 years. We're super concerned with pitch count. I get it in the regular season. I understand injury prevention. And once again, I don't even think it's helping injury prevention because we've got more pitchers hurt than we've ever had in baseball.
I think that's a few.
That's
other
a lot
things.
of things, fine, but like the pitch count clearly isn't helping because.
Well, I don't think the high pitch counts are necessarily what's causing the injuries. I think
no. It's a low pitch count though. Guys are throwing less pitches than they ever have before.
I'm saying I don't think
more.
Well, I don't think that's
what's causing. Listen, all I'm saying is this:
Yeah.
All I'm saying is this: is we are, as a society in baseball, we are like that is God, right? The pitch count is God. It makes up everything, and we've got more injuries than we've ever had before. So those two things are not adding up. And I understand that it's more than just pitch count as to why guys are getting hurt. I agree. But I'm just saying I think we shouldn't be super concerned about it. It should not be the end all be all. If a guy is dealing, let him keep dealing. It's that simple. I don't care what his stats are third time around. If he's mowing an order down, I don't need to see his third time around stats. I don't need to. Because you know what? Just like Quintana, just like you could say like, well, Quintana isn't good third time around the order. Well, you gave the game to Buto and he gave up 2 home runs. And it's I'm not killing him. I'm just saying like the reliever can come in and blow it too. Like just because you're handing the game off to another person does not mean it's in better hands. Mm-hmm. You're just handing it off to a different set of hands.
Yeah.
So, but I can't complain with how Mendoza managed. Like I said,
I thought
I didn't agree.
Very well.
I didn't agree with everything, but they won. And they won on the road, and against all odds, they had a comeback. So I wouldn't want to continue that, right? For our own, cardiac health. Probably wasn't great, but in Philly, Philly's a team that like they got boppers. Like that's a much harder team to come back against in the ninth and win because they're not going to kill you with 2 home runs. They're going to kill you with like 5 home runs. You know what I mean? Like this is
they're not going to hit a couple solo shots. They're going to hit a 2-run bomb, a 3-run bomb. They're
exactly.
Going to get some gappers. This is a team that can hit the damn ball. So we look damn good against them.
Nobody of any importance can die for the next week because I cannot have an ESPN commentator giving a eulogy for someone and Nick Castellanos. Literally, like there's got to be somebody with an earpiece in the Mets dugout that's like, yo, they're doing a eulogy mound visit right now, or just walk them. Like
hit him.
Like if Jimmy Carter dies in the next week, Castellanos cannot have an at bat. Just put it that way.
Why is he not looking good, Jimmy Carter?
I don't know, dude. The guy's 100. Like my money's on him. He's got to be next, right? Just I don't know. Someone, God. Right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Oh man, I'm excited for the series. I really am. I never lost faith.
Who are you most worried about? Who are you most worried about in that Philly lineup? Other than Bryce Harper, I guess, because he's a killer. Like he's good. He's good for like probably 3 home runs in the series.
I think Trey Turner. He can do it all. He can hit home runs. He's got good defense. He can steal bases when he gets on. Don't let that guy get going. He's a table setter. So don't let him get going. Keep him at bay, shut him down the series. I think that's a big part. Don't let guys get on base in front of Kyle Schwarber, another guy.
I was about to say Schwarbo. My only thing with Schwarbo though was like he's slow as shit. So if you got to walk,
he's home runner. He's basically home runner nothing. He's got a good bat. He can hit the ball.
He's home run or bust. That's what he is. He's home run or bust. Unless it's like the month of June and he hits 300. Outside of that, he's home run or bust.
Is that his career average in June or something?
Yeah, no, his career average in June is insane. It's insane. Like the bulk of his home runs are in the month of June. He had that month of June. What was it, like 2 years ago? Right, where he hit like 15 home runs. I think. Do you remember this?
No, I don't.
2022, he hit like 300 and like 15. It was like insane. It was fucking insane. It wasn't 15. It was like 10 home runs, but still, he had like an insane month. But that's a guy. That's a guy. If you have to walk him, walk him. I don't need guys like Schwarbo, and I know Schwarbo's a high strikeout guy, but like he's got a lot of power. He can put it over the seats, and Philly's a bandbox. Like it does not take much to put one over the fence there. No. So if you're the Mets here, like 2 outs, 2 outs in an inning, and Schwarbo steps up, walk him. Like I mean, if the moment deems, like if you have a 2-run lead or whatever, yeah, maybe not. But a 0-0 ball game, walk him. That's me. Like, well, I'm not taking the chance on you. You're fucking strikeout. Depending on who's next, right? If Bryce Harper's up next to Schwarbo, then I'm pitching to Schwarbo. Either way, I'm gonna get killed if I make a mistake.
Yeah.
But
you got to pitch these guys. You got to get guys out. We need our pitchers to be on their A game this series and just get guys out.
Mendy there's no shame in walking a guy.
No, Mendy.
Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper. You got to walk him at times.
Yeah. Pitch around him. Yeah, I'm not saying just intentionally walk these guys all the time, but pitch around the zone. try to get these guys pitching for some stuff. And Mendy's got to be ready to pull some quick hooks on these guys. You know, we're gonna have a rested bullpen. You know, if it's both Tyler and David Peterson moving to the pen, you know, we're gonna have guys that can give you innings out of the pen along with Budo. You'll have 3 guys that can give you multiple innings, 2+, you know, easily. And then you know, Diaz, even to finish off games, can give you 2 innings. So we got to be ready to pull the hook quick, you know.
Bass, I hate to cut this short here, but I have a pregnant wife that I need to cook dinner for.
Gotcha.
And I would rather deal with an angry Zach than an angry wife. No, I'm kidding.
Fair
My
enough.
wife's not going to be mad. But I do have to get going. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone.
Hopefully another day this weekend.
Thanks, Duran. Thanks, Steven, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Duran. We appreciate it. Thank you,
Maybe
Stevie.
Monday.
Maybe Monday, maybe even Sunday. I don't know. We'll see. One day at a time. But stay tuned to the socials, and thank you all for tuning in. And as always, Bass,